Welcome back to another episode of Furuno Connections. Today, we're covering the radars. Tim, give us a little idea of what we're going to be doing today.
So what we set up, Jeff, is all four boats have System A, System B, System C's solid state radar domes. And what we're going to do is go out there and put them through their paces and see what they're capable of. We're going to be looking really closely at close-in targets, long-distance targets, and target resolution to see, how many boats or how separation is from land and other boats.
Right.
And we're going to have Captain Jack take us out there and take us on a few spots. And Jack, what do you got set up for us?
Well, we have 4 different boats out there. Mine's going to be the Furuno boat. And you know what? Knowing those units, I use them day in and day out. I can guarantee you that Furuno is going to show up awesome on the screen.
And that's great because then we can take the other System A, B, and C and compare it to that and just see, what we like about each individual unit, which one, does what best. I'm really curious to see how this all turns out.
Right.
Well, let's go get it done.
All right.
All right.
To conduct our radar testing, we wanted to create an apples-to-apples comparison. So, we used the latest and largest solid-state Doppler domes that each manufacturer offered. All except for System C offer a 24-inch dome, while System C offers a 21-inch dome. We removed the existing radars from the boats and installed each of the radar domes onto the T-tops, placing them all at the same height off of the water. For the Furuno dome, we used the DRS-4D NXT solid-state Doppler radar. The peak power output for each of the systems was different, with System C being the lowest and System A being the highest. We will see how the peak power output plays a role in the overall performance and target resolution. All of the radars, except for System C, have a range of 48 nautical miles, while System C's maximum range is 24 nautical miles. Our tests include short-range and long-range target detection. We take a look at target separation and target resolution. We'll also see how well the systems can see beyond structures, like bridges, and how they pick up and display bird targets. Keep in mind that we use the default out-of-the-box auto settings for each of our tests.
What I see here is this is a perfect demonstration of how this is lined up. Here at Boot Key Harbor, all these sailboats are in a row. They're all on mooring buoys. That's how the city has it. And so you can see perfect demonstration on how they're all lined up. So you can see here a great shot of how all the sailboats are in line with the buoy. They're pretty tightly packed in here.
In the NXT radar, it's really easy to go from manual to automatic gain and manual to automatic sea clutter. And in this case, I'm going to switch back to just advanced auto sea clutter and switch over to my manual controls. Now I'm in manual mode, so now if I touch here, I can actually increase or decrease the gain. The sea clutter actually is more of an effect, so watch this. You can really more tightly define those targets with that sea clutter control. Really dial them in. So it's really easy to do that with the data box menu. My radar menu always has my NXT gain and sea clutter and rain adjustment available. So sometimes in certain situations, it's nice to be able to switch between manual and automatic. And in automatic mode, you're always going to get a reasonable picture, but when you start using the radar a lot and you look at it closely, you can dial it in and fine-tune it in the manual mode sometimes. But overall, the Furuno automatic mode is a good solid way to always have a reasonably, a very easily interpreted radar image. So one of the nice features when you're in a harbor area like this is to turn on your res boost, especially at night if you want to have better target separation, or if there's a lot of close-in targets or moorings that you're trying to see and get better situational awareness. If I edge swipe up, I can run my res boost as standard, enhanced 1, enhanced 2, or enhanced 3. Let's try enhanced 1, or let's go enhanced 3 just to see how much we can increase the target separation. But maybe enhanced 2
would look a little bit better. So here's a way to increase the resolution of the radar and separate these targets. So let's look at the two boats in front of us to our port. 1, 2, 3 right here. Let's try to look at those in the standard mode or my Res Boost Enhanced 2 mode. A little bit more definition in between the targets, a little higher bearing resolution.
All right, guys, so now we're in a really interesting place. Captain Mike brought us to essentially a part of the river that's very, very narrow. I don't even think it's a half-mile across. And if you can see in the background, there are a whole bunch of sailboats anchored up behind me, and they're all side by side by side by side. I mean, there's literally probably 50 of them.
Yeah, if not more, yeah.
And this is kind of where this radar is starting to shine a little bit, because we are painting them quite well. When we spin around here and take a look at it so you guys can look at the screen as well, you're going to see a bunch of very large targets letting us know exactly where they are. We do see some, because it is a dome, we see some targets blending into one another. You know, it doesn't have complete separation, but we see as we navigate through this tight channel that we are seeing the majority of our targets, and they are painting a pretty good presentation.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you want to look at the screen, they're clearly presented, and they have obviously a good signature. And as you mentioned, Tim, it being a dome, you're not going to get that true clear target separation when they're in so close. But no, as far as the screen looks, everything looks really well. It's well presented, and you can make out somewhat of the canal that we're running up.
Absolutely.
So,
but it is pretty congested.
Yeah.
You don't usually see a lot of places that are quite this congested.
Right.
So what we're seeing here is a lot of individualized targets. All these are anchored sailboats and some power boats, but everything seems to be anchored. Nice tight channel. We got land here, land here. And as I said, some of these double targets, you can almost make out that they're two targets, and the dome for System A just can't break them apart. But still, overall, as we navigate down this tight channel, we do still get a pretty good visualization that there are a lot of boats around us, and we have a lot to watch out for. This is a pretty amazing place to be. I'm actually glad Captain Mike brought us here, because I think this is where we're starting to show this. This System A radar does do pretty good in this area.
Okay, so we come into Boot Key Harbor. This is where all basically is a huge moorage for mostly sailboats, right?
Yep.
So we came in here to use the radars and see what we can see, how much targets we can actually pick up in here, and see what kind of clarity we can get. We came in here, we can see, if you look at the screen, you can see just about every single one of these sailboats that's moored out here in pretty strong, good detail. We can see the landmass off to our other side, the island behind us, and some of the definition on it. And you can see all these sailboats lined out. It looks pretty good. The targets are a little blown out, so I wanted to play around with a couple of the different modes. Now this radar has a couple of different display modes that allow us to change the auto presets depending on how they're set up for harbor and birds and weather and so forth. So if we go under adjust and then under mode, right now the default is custom, right? So that's full control. So we're going to switch it to harbor, and you'll notice that it starts to kind of minimize the targets. The targets are a little bit smaller now and a little bit more crisp, not as big and blown out as they were before. We're probably not going to go into offshore weather or bird here because there's no birds and we're not offshore. So we'll test those when we get back out on the water. But the harbor mode actually cleans this picture up quite a bit more than we saw before. We get a little bit more definition in here and a little bit better definition on these sailboat targets.
Now Captain Cam has brought us inshore here. Where are we at?
So we're in Boot Key Harbor, which is the kind of public mooring field for anybody that would have a live aboard boat. sailboat, anything of that nature.
Okay, so we're going to be looking at a lot of really up close condensed targets.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Big old mooring field over here where there's a good number of boats tied together, evenly spaced out. So.
All right, now you've run into Buono Harbor quite a bit with your Furuno radar. Do you have any issue navigating through with your radar, seeing target separation?
No, none at all. Usually, it's pretty clear cut.
Awesome. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our solid state radar here with System C, and we're going to come into Buono Harbor here, and we're going to see how this radar is going to show us target separation with a heavy target-rich environment. We've come into the harbor, so what we're going to do is we're going to now switch it over to harbor mode. So we're going to zoom in on the screen here and show you making that change. So we're on the screen here. What we're going to do, we're going to come to our menu. We're on coastal right now, and we're going to switch it over to harbor mode. So this is what the user would usually do coming into a harbor. Hopefully we're going to see some really good target separation here. So we're looking at the screen here, and we're running at a 1/4 mile range right now in this harbor. And what you're going to see is we're seeing pretty good defined targets, right here out to about 1/8 of a mile. We're getting really good target separation on those targets. Once we get out past 1/8 of a mile though, out towards that 1/4 mile range, the targets are now starting to blend together and show as one target. Where this dark line here, that may be 3, 4, 5 different boats together. We're seeing it as one target out here past 1/8 of a mile. But in close at 1/8 of a mile, we're getting really good target separation. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and zoom it in to that 1/8 of a mile, and you can now see that we're showing each individual boat. Got a couple of them running together out here on the end, but System C is doing a good job at showing the target separation. One thing that I've got to point out that has been almost bugging me all day that I've been noticing is for a solid state radar, we're getting a pretty large main bang area here. And what that is basically a blind spot on the radar when you get too close. These solid state radars are supposed to be known for their really good up close performance. And that's just not what we've been seeing today on System C. But like we said, real good target separation here on that 1/8 of a mile range. And we'll go ahead and pop it out. We were on 1/4. We're going to go out to 3/8 of a mile here, show you. So still in close, getting real good target separation. Once we get out, out a little distance, we're going to start blending those targets together. So overall, with System C here in Buono, I'm pretty impressed with the target separation in close of these boats. Other than the blind area we're seeing up close in that main bang area, we are getting good target separation out to about 1/8 of a mile. Once we get out there, we're starting to see those targets blend together.
Well, that wraps up part 1 of our radar testing. And we saw that the solid state radars work great in the busy harbor, which is important when it's foggy outside, at night, or when it's raining. All 4 systems did a great job displaying the targets when we were close in. But as we started to zoom out and increase the range, some of the systems started to blend the targets together. It's important to remember that the target resolution will get even better if you switch from the dome radar to the open array. And as that array gets larger, that target resolution gets even sharper. Coming up next, we continue our radar shootout as we bring our 17-foot skiff out and we run at different distances from the mangroves to see which radars can separate the boat from the land. Make sure you join us on the next episode of Furuno Connections. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and click on the bell below to get notifications for the next time we release new videos. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.